Job than Johnny Cash. Mr. Jim Day. The Velocette Club, the committee realised, come on Jim, you got to come up here. I don't have to sing, do I?
Come on, Jim! Sticky day pudding tomorrow night. Help that man out of that table.
I apologise for tonight we haven't got a microphone. All the other nights will be in the auditorium, which is down there, and we'll have a microphone. So we don't need it because I'm fairly loud, John's loud, and Jim's been known to be loud.
You see this bloody broken down cripple here? This is the legend.
Velocette and Jim Day go hand in hand.
We do.
And there's a couple of, I stand corrected, but while we've been having these good companions rallies, and I believe you are the only standing member that still has attended them all, Jim.
Yeah, Al down here. He's attended every one but one.
But one, that's right.
He was crook.
Jim's been to them all. And last year, Jim handed in his motorcycle licence, but yet here he is.
Anyway, I brought a pennant along that I won in America, a Velocette pennant, and on the back I've pinned all the badges of every rally. So I'll get Keith for that to hang it up somewhere so you can have a look at what the badges look like. Yeah.
This man went to not only our rallies, went to America 20 years in a row to their week-long rallies.
Wow.
And an expert told me where he used to ride from in Canada to the rally and back, probably on an average was about a 4,500 mile ride.
Oh,
the distance has never been a problem. You'll hear later about how him and Dennis rode to the UK on a bike. And Jim's ridden to many rallies and just flying the Velo name and loved every minute of it.
just let me tell you something. I didn't ride overland on a Velocette, but somebody did. A fella called Mick Sturgis from the London Centre rode from England to Australia on a Velocette. Travelled all over to lots of different rallies, Southern Cross Rally and South Australia. Yeah, and then shipped the bike back again. Yeah, I think he did it again on a Honda next time. Yeah.
Anyway, my turn?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I sit down now?
No.
Don't interject while I'm talking.
I won't.
Okay.
Bigger
I think I probably first met Jim in the late 1970s, and probably through Dennis Quinlan.
Correct.
Because I convinced my dad to buy a Velocette Truxton in 1975, and it turned out to be one engine number off the bike that Dennis bought brand new, so Dennis knew quite a bit about it. But in those early days of being involved with Velocettes, Diana and I decided that we should organise a weekend rally at Bundanoon in 1982. And amongst the short entry list, of course, Jim and Dennis were there and continued to attend those rallies for, well, up until this day, as far as Jim's concerned. But as far as the legend status goes, in those early days, Jim rode an ageing MSS, Axe 400.
Correct.
And he bought it not quite new, but it wasn't very old. How old was it, Jim, when you bought it?
1958 AX 400 was the registration from that year.
Yep. And rode it to school and used it for your everyday bike. well, for decades and decades. And I don't know how
Still
many,
my favourite bike.
lots and lots of miles on that. And then somehow, through contacts in America, Jim and Dennis started to attend the North American rallies. And as Keith said, the miles that were put up on bikes in North America were incredible. I did ask Jim maybe 6 months ago how many miles he thinks he's ridden on a Velocette, not counting his BMW override from Australia to England. And I think it was probably around about 500,000 miles on Velocettes.
I would think so.
So that's legend. But those of us who were lucky enough to have attended a North American rally, which started 1 year after our rallies. They started in 1983, but they were always a week long in the middle of the American summer, and they were called the Summer Ride. And I was fortunate enough to be able to attend one in 1997 for the first time.
What did you ride, John?
I rode Mick Felder's Velocette Thruxton.
Oh,
And anyway, that was a rally which taught me that Jim was a legend at something else, and that was snoring. And I should have known, because his best mate Dennis Quinlan had started not to share a room with Jim on our rallies, and I should have taken the hint that there was a reason that Dennis wouldn't sleep in the same room. But during that first week-long rally, I volunteered to share Jim's tent. And after the first couple of nights, we pulled into a campsite, and Jim started to unload the tent on a nice grassy patch. And I said to Jim, "There's a better spot over here." And he said, "Over there? Why over there?" And it was very close to the bank of a raging snowmelt river coming off a snow-capped mountain. And it was whitewater noise that would drown out Jim's snore.
this is the legend, mind
The
you.
legend.
The legend.
So, legendary snorer. But for those who've known Jim, and lots of us have known Jim for a long time now, such a loyal friend, and someone who you don't hear say a bad word about anybody. He is just salt of the earth good.
But you do hear me.
You do hear him. Uncomplaining, and as his body suffered under the growing effects of rheumatoid arthritis, he diligently swam at 5 a.m. every morning to keep active and to ward off the progression of this horrible thing that he lived with. And eventually, he did make the decision to hang up his helmet, which must have been the toughest decision of his life. But on the downside, whenever Jim's table won the quiz night, he was unabashedly loud. "We are the champions." And if Val was near him, she would be telling him, "Jim, shut down. That's most unbecoming to brag about your win." But that's about the only bad thing I could say about this legend, Jim Day.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Before you,
Yeah,
you
I
can't,
also
you
went to
can't
you.
talk, Lee. You can't talk yet.
Right. Oh,
As I am.
see. Right.
We have a trophy for you, Jim, or an award, which you can keep. And I also happen to know, because I've got an insider that knows more about Jim than Jim does. He does like poetry, and a famous Australian poet, Banjo Patterson, wrote Clancy the Overflow, which I know Jim is quite partial to. And there's a verse in there that goes something like this. Well, it goes like this if I can read it properly. "In my wild erotic fancy, visions come to me of Clancy, gone a-droving down the Cooper where the western drovers go. As the stock are slowly stringing, Clancy rides amongst them singing, for the drover's life has pleasures that the townsfolk never know. So when we had to come up with a suitable award, I don't think there was anything as fitting as some words penned by a very famous poet. So, not quite a famous poet, myself, I took those words, and it's here for all to see, in my wild erotic, well, if you want erotic, you can have that. It takes the edge off it anyway. In my wild erratic fancy, visions come to me of Jimmy, going riding down the highway where the velo wants to go. With the singles slowly spinning, Jim rides along then singing, for this legend's life has pleasures that the townsfolk never know.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, not only America, I rode in New Zealand for probably 30 years or more. Ernie Williams loaned me a little Mac, and I did many hundreds of miles on that Mac. Unfortunately, Ernie's passed on, so there's really no need for me to go to New Zealand again, but I keep in contact with Charlotte, his partner, so I know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, all I've done, I haven't done anything out of the ordinary. I've just come along to these rallies, which I enjoyed, met lots of people who have done just the same things as me. People often say about, oh yeah, all the travels you've done, and I just say, look, you've come a different path. You had children, we didn't have children, and so anybody who's had children has certainly come a different path to I've travelled, you know. They're wonderful people. All right, so I guess instead of you listening to me jaw on, you can jaw on amongst yourselves. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, John, for the nice words you said. And I hope to carry on as best I can. I still do my Pilates exercises. I was just saying to people, up until last Christmas, I was a young 85. I don't know what I've got, but I've got no energy. I mean, you never heard about this RSV before 2 years ago when that woman started advertising it on TV. Now everybody's talking about it. Now, I know my wife had the injection for it, $370. That's how much it cost. So I just got tired of feeling old, so I've gone back to doing my Pilates, and I'm hoping I can get back to doing my swimming. You know, I'm driving myself to do it, and I'm hoping I can burst out. Thank you all for being my friend, and we'll chat again sometime tomorrow, the next day, and tomorrow, ladies, I'm looking forward to being in the bus with all you beautiful ladies. Yeah. Thank you.
Now before you disappear,